We can call the meeting to order. This is the work session of the Mayor and Council for Monday, October 7th, 2013. The time is now approximately 7 p.m. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by sending notices on December 21st of last year to the Record and the Ridgewood News, positioning notice of this meeting in the lobby of the Borough Hall and filing a notice of the meeting with the municipal clerk. I'd like to remind members of the public that there are 3 exits in council chambers, 2 to the front and 1 to the rear. We are being recorded both audio and video. If any member of the public wishes to speak during the public portion of the meeting, they need only give us their name and address, and they can be heard asking any questions or making any comments. Can I have a roll call, please?
Here.
Present.
Here. 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 Here.
Here. Okay, the first thing I'd like to do is we have one item in closed session, a matter of personnel that appears on the end of the 7 o'clock agenda. I'd like to handle that first. It should only take 5 or 10 minutes or so. So if I can have a motion to go into a closed session to exclude the public so that we can discuss this personnel matter.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? All right, thank you. We'll be back in 10 minutes. All right, can I get a roll call, please, Judy, for the closed session?
Here.
Present.
Here. Here.
Here? Here, okay. Passed out a letter dated September 23rd, addressed to me from the Office of the County Prosecutor. Basically, the prosecutor is saying that they've completed a 6-month review of the matter involving Chief Caridi, and they haven't been notified of any subsequent incidents, that he's completed different types of testing and a course, and that the operative language is that you have the authorization of Prosecutor Molinelli to restore Chief Caridi's privileges to carry a firearm without restriction immediately. So, upon receiving the letter, I notified the chief. Then I went to. Okay, Alan, best practices inventory.
Thank you, Mayor. If I may, the state of New Jersey has passed legislation to require that the Division of Local Government Services determine how much of each municipality's 5% final allocation of CUMTRA aid and energy receipts aid will be dispersed to them based on the results of a best practices inventory. This inventory is due back to the state on October 15th. There are 50 questions, 12 of which are completely new. If you achieve anywhere within the range of 41 to 50, there's no penalty and you receive 100% of your aid. The best practice survey is to be completed by your chief administrative officer as well as the CFO, and that person or persons have to certify the inventory. In addition, the completed form must be an agenda item for discussion at the municipal governing body meeting, and that's why it's listed tonight. The municipal clerk must certify on the worksheet that the inventory and the results were discussed publicly, and they'll be part of the meeting minutes. Our results are that we had 38 yeses, 6 noes, and 6 not applicable. The not applicable do count as a positive answer. So out of the 50, we had 44 positive answers, or a rate of 88%, and we will be receiving the full amount of our aid based on that. Just a couple of observations on the 6 no questions. One question went to whether we follow the state comptroller's report on legal fees. And if you look at the checklist, there are many things that we do with regard to legal fees. We have written contracts, we manage the fees, we have policies, but the one thing they recommend that we don't do is have competitive procurement of legal counsel. So since we can't meet the full checklist, that had to be a no answer at this time. Another question went to whether we have adopted a pay-to-play ordinance, which is a little bit more strict or restrictive than the state statutory requirement. And since we haven't gone to that level, that had to be a no question also. The third question had to do with our annual budget review and whether we do any trends or look at some of our financials in that respect. And we do a lot of trend analysis, but they're also asking us to do a projection for 2 future years of our fund balance or surplus money. And while we don't do that presently, I think we can accomplish that in this year's budget process, and next year we can answer this question in a positive fashion. So we'll address that. The other 2 have to do with workers' comp reimbursements to your employees and your disability benefits. And we don't meet these 2 requirements because our collective bargaining agreements and our own ordinance really provide for a different type of reimbursement than what they are recommending as a best practice. And the last question has to do with whether we've had a review of our master plan and zoning ordinances with regard to flooding and storm damage. Many towns, obviously, in the shore communities are now looking at their zoning ordinances about the level of the height of buildings and things of that nature. So while we haven't done that, this has to be a no question at this point as well. So that's my report. If there's any discussion or questions on any of these, the full checklist has been distributed to the mayor and council, and I'll be happy to answer those questions. Alphonse?
Thank you, Mayor. What I'd like to do in the Finance Committee, if we can, is perhaps look like we did with the debt and surplus policies to draft the policy that directly targets, dealing with projections going 3 years out, so that we look at our hiring trends, what the impact of hiring someone in this calendar will be 3 years down the road in terms of, how much they'll make, and just so we can start projecting that out, but lay it out with the hopes that once we do have some sort of policy in effect, we can adopt a resolution to that regard, so that we do have, when we go back into the budget process again, really have rules in place that'll govern us and what we look at. So that's what I'd like to maybe tackle in the Finance Committee.
All right. Any other comments? All right, we have Mr. Police here to discuss the library roof situation. Glad to see you're on the mend, Mr. Police.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Okay. Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm here to follow up with a memo that was received by my office back in September 19th regarding the HVAC for the library, as well as various phases with the clear story, and just to see if those items will work, could be coordinated with the roof project. I received this memo back in September 19th from Judy O'Connell. It was written by Councilman Aquafreda, and Basically, the memo had 5 points. The first point was the design build proposal that I was contemplating or suggesting for the mechanical phase for the library. I gave it some further thought. I think my recommendation would be to do that item first, because it did impact the library roof with bringing in the crane to install a new unit. That's a mechanical unit, I believe, number 4. Also, I think it would be a lot cheaper if we just worked with an HVAC contractor to coordinate that work. Instead of bringing in a mechanical engineer, I think it's pretty simple and straightforward. My involvement with that, and I'm just suggesting it, that I would probably do it on an hourly fee of $150 an hour, and not to cap it at $1,500. I wouldn't think I need to spend any more than 10 hours to get involved in that project, because I would expect I would review the concept with the mechanical contractor, maybe review a shop drawing, maybe review some specifications, and maybe do a field visit or 2. So I think that would be my scope of getting involved with the mechanical phase. I wouldn't get involved with any of the design. It would be mainly for coordination, how it interface with the clear story, because we might have to run some duct work or reroute the duct work or work around some of the existing conditions. I don't know, Councilman, if that answers your question.
Who would be doing the design then? What would we be asking the design-build entity, a mechanical contractor, to do? Who would be preparing performance specs for them to follow?
Well, what
But I'm just
traditionally...
saying, replace the existing unit with a new one.
Yeah, I think that there is some direct replacement here, so I think that's straightforward. I think that a mechanical contractor, because the scope is very limited, I would feel comfortable with letting a competent HVAC contractor proposing a design and taking responsibility for that design. I guess you could go and seek the services of a mechanical engineer as a consultant, or I could bring him on. But I think this scope of work is pretty limited and pretty defined, and I think it's almost direct replacement. It's not like we're adding an addition. I would interface with a mechanical contractor only to tell them that what we're proposing for the clear story is low-E glass with a certain thermal transmission, and that it would be tinted. It would be far more effective than what you have presently there. So I feel to get another design professional involved at this point for this direct replacement work, probably it's not warranted, in my opinion. However, if the mayor and council felt that it should be supervised or should be overseen by a design professional, I certainly would oversee this work and give that person some guidance and give the mayor and council some guidance that we do this thing properly and that it's rigged up and we pay the consequences later down the road. So I would oversee it, like I said, I would do it hourly, not to exceed $1,500. So I hope that answers.
My concerns
Yeah.
were more on the front end of the face, not the back end, because there's also the risk that we may end up with 3 proposals that are different from one another. And then how do we properly evaluate these 3 proposals? It cannot be on the bottom line alone. Because if another well-qualified design-build HVAC contractor is proposing to install a 7.5-ton unit versus, I'm making this up, the existing 5-ton unit,
Right.
then, I mean, the 7.5-ton unit will not cost, will not cost 50% more than installing a 5-ton unit. It will
Correct.
cost maybe 15 or 20% more. So where will that evaluation take place so that mayor and council is properly guided in selecting the correct proposal? That was my concern. I mean, it's very easy to say design build, and now let's go a step further. Exactly. So
Well,
that's why I mentioned performance specs.
Right. Well, sometimes when I've been involved with design build specs, I put the onus on the contractor to design and build it with criteria. And I would probably suggest that if you're going to go out to 3 bidders, that I could prepare a performance spec, that it must be designed by a licensed professional engineer, and they must take responsibility for the design of it. So it's got to work. So in their proposal, we're giving them the criteria that it must be designed by a PE with competency, and that they must review the machinery in place, and also meet the criteria of the New Jersey Energy Conservation Code. So we could instill, I think, a 1-page design criteria that they would be responsible for. So, maybe that, I understand now fully what you're saying, and you want to make sure you're comparing apples with apples, and not that someone just goes off on a tangent.
I want to make sure that I don't have to sell the rest of mayor and council the advantages of spending more money to get
Right.
something that's going to last us a lot longer than the minimum bare requirements.
Right.
So I want to make sure that there is another layer in between. And as far as hiring an engineer, not hiring an engineer, we still end up paying for it, because if we're going to ask the HVAC contractor to
built in,
prepare signed and sealed drawings to file the job,
Yeah.
and we're still paying for a licensed
Correct.
engineer.
Correct. I think where I'm coming from, I don't want to make it too complicated
No.
and too, involved. I don't want to shortcut it, because it is a serious thing. I think when we talked about the clear story and feeding that, we might be spending money foolishly trying to cool down that clear story, or providing heat and cooling up there for what? It's just a glorified skylight. So, but I do think that we could, in my fee, I don't think it would be out of the question to give some design criteria, or, again, select a mechanical engineer to examine it, give an evaluation, perform a performance spec, maybe a design drawing, and have all the bidders bid on that specific drawing.
Alphonse.
I just want to see this project go forward in the worst way, because I think we've kind of beaten this to death for a while. So if there's any way we don't have to add another professional, sell me on it. I trust you. You'll tell me what we need.
It's just when...
I just don't want to add another professional to this for...
I'm not saying we have to.
The point, are we changing the size of the units and the configuration of the existing units? Because if we're not doing that, then your point's taken. We just need a standard spec sheet saying what we're replacing this with that. And what is the cost going to be for this phase also? Because that depends whether we have to go through the full bidding process or we can go for 3 quotes or something different.
But that's the point I'm trying to make. How do we know that we just have to replace what's existing with a like new, with a like same tonnage?
Yes, we're working presumption that that's what we're
Versus-
doing, but yes, I don't know if that's what we should be doing. And if we don't know that, then unfortunately, I think we need someone to tell us what we need to do.
we could still do that. I mean, we let the HVAC contractor hire the professional, but then we can expect 3 different bids.
Yes, and you're gonna have 3 different professionals giving you 3 different opinions on what should be done.
And they're all
So we
gonna
need to
have
have
their
a
point.
consistent opinion or an objective opinion as to what the status of the unit is and whether it needs to be resized or if replacement, that's not a big order. It's something someone can do in going out there in an afternoon. So,
I believe so.
I would think we would probably be better served going that route than having, because even if you can do a design build, you want to at least have, 30% draw, something for them to work off. You don't want to just give them some general criteria. I think, like Vito says, we're going to wind up with
Right.
spots all over the map,
I
so.
didn't just wake up and started to make this stuff up. I've lived through this many, many times, and I know what the pitfalls are, especially if we got to go with public bidding. It's a whole completely different animal than private bidding. So we want to make sure that there is a common slate, so when we receive the bids back, it's going to make our life, including Mr. Police's life, a lot easier.
Because you're going to get someone who says you have to replace it, you're going to have someone who says it's okay, and you're going to have someone who's going to give you a third opinion. And then we're going to be stuck to make that choice, and we shouldn't have to be in that position. We should have our own expert tell us what the best...
To Alphonse's comment, I really don't have to hire an HVAC engineer, but in essence, I'm sending out requests for proposals to 3 design-build contractors who have an HVAC engineer on staff and who are probably going to give us 3 different answers. So then our job is going to be which one to believe.
It's just simply frustration on my part, because
I
this
know.
project's been debated for the last 3 years. We thought we were there where we were going to go out to bid, and then it's just another layer after another layer that keeps delaying the project. So really, I'm just expressing my frustration, because I want to get this, moving forward as quickly as...
But if these comments
possible.
were made 3 years ago, we would have had the HVAC system replaced already. My job is to point out to the council what are the basic choices that will be confronting us. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
Yeah.
So we either pay for it now, or we'll be expected to make a little bit more involved decision when the proposals come back. I'll go with either or, but I've done my job, I think. I've pointed out what's coming down the pipeline.
So what should we do? What is your recommendation? Just tell us what to do.
I could go either side. I mean, I hear his frustrations. I just got on the job in January. That's my excuse. I just got on the job. And Mr. Police, fine, he's playing the architect role. He's trying to stay on the side and at the same time, make sure he keeps at least one finger on the matter. I would prefer to have a common spec, performance spec. Why I call them performance spec? Because I really don't need a full-blown design and criteria and everything else. It's simple. I mean, this could be done in an 8.5 by 11. Here, go on the roof. There is one unit. This is the size of the unit. We feel the new unit should conform to the following criteria. Send that out with whatever other stuff we need to do with the bid package. At least we'll get 3 proposals that are the same. Then we can concentrate on the cost.
But that's what I'm saying. We can do that. That's not a big issue. You can bring somebody in for a half a day if you know somebody who's qualified to do that.
That's not a problem. That's not a problem.
That would make more
Somebody
sense.
make a motion, please?
Make a motion
I
to
make the
have
motion to hire
somebody to
police come and do
Yeah.
and do the performance, evaluation of the existing unit and do a very bare bones performance spec, because we're not redesigning the system. We just need to have criteria so we get
Okay. That's not a
consistency
problem.
quotes.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Ms. Bucci, my question is, in the chronology of this, if we get the spec and we have to go out to competitive bidding for the HVAC replacement, is that the first thing that we're going to do? And then after that, are we going to replace the glass on the clear story
Correct.
with another contractor or a
Okay.
general
We
contractor?
can talk about that next.
Okay. I don't want to complicate it, so.
Okay. I
We moved the
understand.
ball forward a little bit tonight.
I understand that. Phase 2, the clear story window, there's 2 schools of thought. While it might be cheaper to replace the clear story windows with a small carpentry contractor, I feel that there might be, in retrospect, some finger pointing later on if the windows do leak. So probably I would do the clear story and the roofing at the same time and go out for one package. This way there's no cross interference. I think you'll pay probably a little bit more for that coordination and for that service, but I think the borough will be well served that if there's a problem, we're going back to one contractor.
Okay.
I don't know how the mayor and council feels about that,
Well,
but that's my opinion at this point.
Well, you said it in public. If, once Councilman Acquafredo
Yeah.
ruminates on it, he may be sending you another memo.
It's okay with
And you'll
me.
have to...
No.
But that's my opinion.
There's nothing to ruminate. If we're going to stick to 2 contractors, then all we could do is expand the contract administration of the architect and its role, where he coordinates between the 2 contractors.
Correct.
Because the last thing you want is not to have a weather-tight envelope.
Correct.
Then he's the first one we're going to point the fingers at, regardless of who did what. I mean, we're always the first one to be called back. So that's the only comment I have on
All
that.
right, okay.
We can move on.
And that'll be fully designed, or you're going to have plans for
Yes,
that?
yes,
So that'll be fully
definitely.
designed, specified separately, so.
There will be separate plans for the clear story that would be incorporated with the roof. The flashing system would be married together. The performance spec would be performed by me on the glass system, how it's going to be finished, how it's going to be detailed. So I would amend my roofing drawing.
And this is a standard kind of construction, doesn't require anybody who has got special or specific experience in doing anything like this?
If I have my choice, I would probably go to a 7/8 or 1-inch glazing system, like a thermal glass. Most likely, I would specify the job in an aluminum frame for easy maintenance, and then I would probably clad it on the exterior with either AZAC, which is like a synthetic hardboard, or maybe aluminum,
But
sheet metal aluminum.
is there any specific construction technique or experience that a contract needs to have to install these kind of
No.
materials?
No.
So we don't have to worry about having like pre-qualified, because we
No,
don't
no.
want him calling up
No.
Joe's Glass Company who's
No, no,
gonna
it's,
do something and...
You know, I would get probably something with a performance glazing. There's no real sophistication. It's not a 18-story building where we have to worry about rain, blasting in, like with a rain screen type of effect, or high pressure, water being driven in. So it's kind of a benign type of construction that's easily done by a storefront contractor or aluminum and glass contractor, and then with some carpentry, because we have to pull out the old units. We might have to close off that atrium or that clear story down at the bottom, create some kind of barriers, because they're going to be working from the inside and outside, pulling out these units. So there will be some disruption to the library and some precautions, because...
I just want to make sure that it's clear in the spec
Yeah,
and in
it will be.
the proposal documents that he had to have a contractor to do this, and it's not a roof guy trying to act as a...
Right. No, it's going to have some qualifications, that it's got to be a glazing contract.
As long as that's part of the...
Their biggest complaint have been those windows, like the sun beating into the place.
Yeah,
So-
well, they're non-performance glazing. When I looked at it, it is two lights of glass that are caulked together. The old system, it's obsolete. They're leaky in water infiltration, and also bring in air and light. So hopefully with this insulated glass unit that we're proposing, it's going to solve that and make it maintenance-free. It's a very difficult area to service and maintain. So you want to kind of walk away, from it.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Palucci.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hope you're feeling better.
Thank you, I am. Thank you.
All right, heading over to the work session agenda. The wording of the SID stakeholders meeting. Is there any discussion? Did anybody have any discussion on the body of the invitation? There was some discussion on the
signature.
on the signature line, whether it was going to be just me and the council, everybody named individually.
Well, it's only a postcard, so I think the mayor and council would suffice.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
All right, mayor and council, we all
signed
concur.
many things.
Okay, good. Authorization to enter into the stormwater drainage agreement with the resident at 161 Adams Avenue.
That's been something we've been in ongoing discussion at the sewer subcommittee. It's a situation that Rob Costa worked out with the applicant's engineer, and it's just a connection to settle a property dispute between neighbors with regard to drainage. So
We have a member of the public here, so I'd like to hear from her. We could just open it up to the public. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And could you just give us your name and address?
My name is Jamie Lynch. I live at 161 Adams Avenue.
Okay, we'll hear you.
How are you? I actually just had a couple of questions. I received, you probably have a copy of the resolution. The item here, whereas, there is a required performance guarantee of $11,400. I'm assuming the performance guarantee is something that's going to come from Johnny Davenport, my contractor. Is that a correct assumption?
The performance,
Yes, there's a bond requirement.
performance bond.
Yes.
Well, that would come from the contractor, obviously, not the homeowner.
A surety company issues a performance bond, and it's called into play if and when the contractor abandons the job. So it's a safeguard for his performance, that he will perform the job.
I understand. My contractor has two questions for me. One, he's wondering where the figure 11.4 came from. But the second bigger concern, because my contractor is not entering into a contract with the town, they're willing to bond the work, but that bond, they say, to be in my name. It wouldn't go to the town because he's not entering into a contract with the town. The town's not paying him a dime for this work.
The reason, I'm assuming the reason is because the borough is accepting that as a borough sewer upon completion. right? So, and generally, the dollar value is set by land use law. It's usually 120% of what the estimated construction cost is. So there's a formula for that. So Mr. Costa must have estimated the project to be around $9,000 or something like that.
9,500.
How much?
95.
Okay, so 9,000, and then, so they add 20% on for a performance bond. I guess Mr. Sarlo can get into the legalities of it, but I think because it's going to be a borough asset, I think that's why it has to be done according to, as if it was a public project from the beginning.
Well, I understand that, and I know that in Ganamore plays a call to Robert Costa, but in Ganamore's telling me that their bond company won't issue it to the town because there's no contract there. They're perfectly willing to bond their work, but...
Here, Borough Attorney can answer this definitively, but I believe there's a paragraph in the agreement between you, the resident, and the borough that you'll provide this performance guarantee. The performance guarantee, you ask for a breakdown of the dollar amount. $11,400 is the performance guarantee, which can be provided either through a surety in total or a combination of cash and surety. There's a maintenance guarantee that would be in effect for 1 year for $1,710. So the performance is $11,400. The maintenance bond, which would follow the performance after you're done installing it, would be $1,710. Again, that could be in the form of surety or a combination of cash and security. And then there's a $1,000 escrow fee to offset the professional fees of the borough staff in watching this project, inspecting it, and approving it. And that's traditional with when we have somebody who comes in and does a development in town to offset those costs.
So, I'm not sure if I understand you. So if in Ganamore can't give you the bond, you're saying that that $11,000 could come from me, that you would accept that cash? Is that what you're
I believe
saying?
the borough attorney will have to answer that question.
We could take a cash bond.
Yeah.
Okay.
well,
guess you've
I mean, it would-
answered my question.
A surety bond would certainly not cost anywhere, you wouldn't have to tie up that kind of money. I mean, a surety bond would be like a couple $100.
I don't know whether we need a surety bond for the whole amount. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if this project didn't happen, there's no harm to the town. So, it would only affect the property owner. You know, we're accepting the sewer because it's going to be within the public right-of-way. We had this discussion.
And there's no damage to borough property at all if it...
That's what
halfway
Mr. Saul was
through.
saying, if they left it half done, but I don't know if you need to have that full amount. You would need enough to either restore the road or whatever if they had hypothetically ripped it up and then, again, we're not going anywhere, he's been in business for a long time. But if he had abandoned the job and left the road open, then we need to have money to...
Sure, and that's where the...
So, but I don't think you need, you know, we do not have to complete the project, I'm saying, because it's not a borough project. We're just accepting ownership of it.
No, but we would have to repair the roadway. if it
Yes.
was- So we would have to have sufficient bonding in
For
place.
that, yes.
For that.
But I believe under our road opening permits, he would have to get a bond anyway for a road opening. So the performance bond is for the installation of this piping.
Is there any concern?
Which once it's in, the
And I'm just-
maintenance bond will kick in,
Yeah.
once it's deemed completed.
So then, okay, because what I...
Once you finish, right, once they sign off on the job, then the performance bond, if it's been completed, that can be returned. Then your maintenance bond will stay for a year.
Is there any potential that, you know, let's say they do the work, but then we realize that there's some problem, and then we have to go back in and rip everything up and redo it?
Well, that's what
I mean,
the maintenance bond-
that would be why the bond for the full amount would be there, just in case...
No.
No.
The performance bond is just to get the work completed.
Done.
Once the work's
If
completed,
they-
you release that bond, and then they have to put a performance bond. Usually it's 15% for the
Because-
next year or two.
Year, as maintenance bond,
Yes.
please.
But if something goes wrong,
Oh.
that could also be a design flaw.
Yeah.
It does not necessarily mean that it's a construction flaw. The construction flaw, it would be very hard, because if the job is going to be looked at and checked out and eventually approved, we really have to, you know, kind of...
But the plans are agreed upon.
Right.
Right, so they're signed off, now it's just the installation. Is it the dollar amount? That's,
It's rather staggering.
The dollar amount.
$400 on top, on top of construction money that we have to spend to do this. All the results, as, my neighbor's killing me, it's not cosmetic. I did not wake up and decide to change my landscape. This has been a financial hardship for me. hard, we've been in court for 2 years.
Is there, I mean, the dollar amount's really, I mean, it was the engineering that we asked him for the estimate, and that's what he came up with.
Well, the other question, can this be done as a borough project and then have an assessment against the homeowner?
To connect to her house?
No,
Well, if we did it
it's
for a
connected to the
project,
street.
we have to find financing for it, and I don't think we have it in the budget.
Well, $9,000 is below the, way below that.
By the time I get an ordinance together,
It's not bad. She wanted to get
she
this thing
needs
done.
to be able to show the court
It's
that
quicker
some
for
progress,
her.
good faith progress.
Not to put council on the spot, do we have the authority to override the amount that Mr. Costa put forth?
Yeah, you're putting in the resolution.
Okay.
So you can either take your expert's opinion and do it,
Or not.
or not. He's just giving you what he feels it should be. And if we can, Alan has, do you have it?
Yeah,
I agree with Al, I mean...
He's looking off my phone.
What it should-
But yeah, I mean, you could decide, hey, look, we're gonna...
Because none of this is bonding for the street.
That'll be better.
Is that the breakdown that?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was just looking
you
at
know,
my phone.
He's bonding, curb, sidewalk, and the pipe, and reconstructing an inlet.
That's the performance.
Yes, so the biggest part
Is
is
the
the pipe.
pipe.
And I'm saying, so if you don't put the pipe in,
So if we eliminate the cost of the pipe, the $6,500 for the pipe,
Yeah, no,
even the inlet,
what are we down to?
the inlet...
Do my math.
The new inlet's 2,000, that's in case we buy an inlet.
That may be something we have to do.
So the pipe is 6,500?
100. So what does that leave us?
In reality...
And again, the
4,900?
performance bond's gonna be eliminated once the work is done.
Yeah.
So,
To me,
well,
that money would come back.
As
yes.
soon as they sign off on the project.
I mean, I would
Then
make...
just the maintenance bond.
The other thing is the maintenance bond is based on the performance bond, so
So you'd be
if we lower that
taking
amount, we're
Yeah, you would lower
gonna lower that.
You're gonna... What
You
else?
take the
do you-
65, you figured it at 1.2, and take that's 1,700 from the 11.4, I think you said, right?
Sir, you're a math
We're
teacher.
going,
That's a new math,
pretty long,
or...
133.
That's that everyday math?
That's 3,600.
Ma'am, does your contractor give you an estimate, like a completion date,
3,600?
how long it would
Yeah.
take?
No,
He didn't?
we signed a contract back in June, we would have thought this work was been long enough.
But he, not the time, but a week or 2 weeks from start to finish. Did he give you that estimate?
No.
Okay.
I mean, I would say it's probably between 5 and 10 days. It's 140 feet of pipe. It's
I mean, I would
not
make-
deep, so.
I would make the motion then for performance bond to have to be posted or cash equivalent at $3,600?
Yes, if you're figuring $6,500 at 1.2, that's 78. 78 from 11.4 is 3,600.
So that would be my motion.
And then would we keep the maintenance bond at 1,700 or maybe just?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have to keep that on.
So I'll second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Any questions for?
Is,
No, I think you've answered them. Thank you so much.
To amend the stormwater drainage license regarding 161 Adams Avenue to include a performance guarantee of $3,600. A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
We're gonna just send you out the agreement, you sign that, and then we're good. But the resolution, we're putting it through anyway tonight, so you
So I can go
you
ahead
can begin.
get my work
Yeah,
started.
we'll get you the agreement for you to sign, but he could start coming for the permits.
Thank you for your time, I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Good night.
Good night.
There you go, very Solomon-like. Very Solomon-like. That's what they
Okay, next we have an amendment with our borough engineer for the cost of the preparation of a survey for the Grove Street easement, so that we can continue with the parking improvements there, in an amount not to exceed $2,500.
Question, man, on that?
Yeah.
Alan, didn't he already say he's already expended 3,000?
Yeah,
Yes.
this was another 25.
He told me he's running into all kinds of issues. It's amazing. He just said he's researching properties, surrounding properties, and now to the county. He's looking whether the county has some type of stake into this, so I just need a description.
But I also suspect, and maybe he and I aren't communicating that well, but I also suspect some of this is for the earlier sketch that he did, maybe with the angled parking, as opposed to the parallel.
I thought we paid for that already.
Yeah.
That was already covered.
I mean, this is a
He submitted the bill to the angled
$200
parking.
Yeah, I don't get it. Again, I'm not an expert, but, I've ordered surveys on properties, and it doesn't cost $5,000. I mean, it's
he's
just...
doing title search, I mean...
He's looking at all the surrounding deeds around there.
I don't understand.
He said not as easy as we are making out today.
All right.
So we'll
Well-
see what work he brings back.
Well, then I think Mr. Grosso should find out.
I think rather than slow the project down, we should approve this, get Mr. Costa in here, show us what he's done so far, and then get from him a projection of what his cost is going to be for the rest of the project.
This is just getting dragged on again. It's another drag on.
Well, if we
Not if we pay him.
pay him...
We would hope.
Right.
Yeah, but we are paying, and then it's being dragged on and on. I
Well,
mean,
let's get Mr. Costa in here for the next meeting.
But this is a better solution than what you originally proposed, so
Yeah.
if you're gonna do it, let's do it right. So it makes sense to try to get the season worked out, because you're gonna have a better end result there.
And then once we get it, once we draft it, the gentleman has to go to his mortgage side. May take not long, he indicated, but may take also a little.
It'd be nice to be speedier.
Okay?
I'll make the motion to adopt number 3 on the work session consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next is Mr. Neese, the attorney of our planning board, to try to find out how the historic element fell through the cracks. In the amount not to exceed $750. I think we all know that we received a letter from the Historic Commission asking us to move on the historic designations. I'm hesitant to do so because if the council votes to designate one of the properties, we're sure to incur a court challenge on that, and if our historic element is not properly adopted, then we just threw away the whole process. So I don't want to get into the merits of whether or not we should pass the designations until we at least make sure that the historic element is on the books properly. So, anybody want to make a motion for that?
Make a motion.
Second.
Any further discussion on what?
Does he have any idea how long it might take him to figure that out? To
No,
look at
Ed,
this?
Ed did a lot of the background and provided a lot of the documents showing that, well, maybe Ed can...
All I did was ask for in-house records. Now, he's doing a formal, so he's gonna have to make sure he sits down with Anthony and everybody in the building department, to make sure that everything they found, that they provided me, is what we actually have, because there's gaps in the record. That's what triggered all this. There's incomplete meeting minutes, there's no record of having a public hearing adopting the master plan element. The master plan document that the Historic Commission provided us does not match the historic preservation ordinance in terms of the list of properties, so there's a lot of inconsistencies that have to be rectified. The short thing is, the original document that the Historic Commission presented to us, these properties already are listed.
Right.
And that's the document they're saying the planning board approved. If you look at the historic ordinance that was actually approved by the mayor and council, those two properties were not on it. So somehow something changed, and the question is, what was the sequence of events, and what's the legal effect of what happened? So that's short what it is.
Hopefully that won't take too long either.
All right, there's a motion and a second. We've had discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed and abstained? Thank you. And finally, the approval of the Green Team District Map for the recycling schedule. You know that the copy that went to us in correspondence was not very clear.
Yeah, I think they have to go back to the drawing board. It's really unreadable, that map. It's an old map.
Is that the best that
Sorry?
that the green team could come up with?
No,
on the recycling
we've been
ban?
working with Rob Costa to try to get that cleaned up.
Okay.
In fact, I was talking with one of his engineers today. We have the tax map cover sheet already digitized. So it's a matter of just basically explaining it, and that's what I said, that's all we need. And cleaning up a little bit because we don't need the tax map sheet numbers on there. It's not a big issue.
No,
He didn't get back to me today, but we can't go
It's
with the one we're
unreadable.
having, correct. That's why we're trying to get a clear digital version, so when we make the copies, it'll be readable.
Okay. All right, unfinished business, anything on the capital list? Grove Street, we've kicked around. The bus shelters,
Can we take that off?
the bus shelter?
Bus shelters are in.
Well, other than to report on the fact that the bus shelters are all in, that there was one bus shelter at, Windsor, that was the wrong style bus shelter. It wasn't a cantilevered shelter, so the shelter encroached upon the sidewalk, but we notified New Jersey Transit. They replaced it in a very quick manner, so all the bus shelters are in. They replaced it with the cantilever model, so now it doesn't encroach on the sidewalk anymore. So the bus shelter project is completed as far as I can tell. Kathleen?
I just have a question about the Fifth Avenue resurfacing. Do we have anything going forward with that?
Can we take off the bus shelters?
Yes, the bus shelters
Put Fifth Avenue in that place.
is off the unfinished business list. Next is the HVAC. We'll keep that on for the time being. And any other unfinished business, Kathleen?
Yeah, Fifth
I can answer
Avenue.
this question,
Yes.
Mayor. Fifth Avenue. Mayor, if I may, on Fifth Avenue, the next step is for the council to adopt a financing ordinance, which will anticipate the Department of Transportation grant. A letter went to bond counsel, I believe last week. In fact, he left a message on my phone today that he'd like me to call him tomorrow to firm up the details of the ordinance. We anticipate having it introduced at the October 21st meeting. Once the ordinance is in place, with notification to the homeowners of any special assessments for the sidewalk curbs and driveway aprons, then Mr. Costa will complete the bid specification. We'll look for authorization to go out to bid probably December, January, make the award in February, and we'll be out doing the streets as soon as the weather permits.
This is just for the first grant, Alan?
For the Section 1, right?
150,000?
150,000, right?
I would just relay to Mr. Costa to look at the intersections and be careful with the drainage, and we don't have the same problem that we had when we did Elm this way. Well, yeah.
Doesn't? Where?
Fifth? You got all those dead-end streets that go toward the park. So we just don't have ponding at all the intersections. There's no inlets.
All right. Any other unfinished business?
Mayor, thank you. I just want to make sure that, Alan, we're preparing to video cast our budget committee meetings. We talked about it last year when we ended our budget committee meetings, and you had said that there was some training that needed to be done. I know we're a ways off, but I just wanted to make sure that that was something that we're preparing for, so that when we do go to budget meetings on Saturday morning, or if we need to do it other days, we're ready to do it as a video cast.
We can do the same thing that we're doing for the public meetings. We can make that commitment.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay. Any other unfinished business?
Yes, along those lines, because I asked for this once before, is also getting training for the planning and zoning board secretaries, because again, there's no reason why we shouldn't at least be videotaping those meetings and have them available for the public.
I'll speak to the public, to the borough clerk about that. We'll see what her response is on that.
Any unfinished business? Additional? New business?
New business?
Al?
I want to start the process of looking for a new grant writer. We've had a lot of talk lately about grants and grant opportunities, but I think it's time that we start looking for a new grant writer for the borough. So I'd like to start that process and hopefully maybe have something in place for the new year.
Okay, after I spoke to you about this, Al, the grant writer did contact me that we still have one outstanding grant application regarding safe streets to schools on Midland Avenue, and we haven't been denied yet, so according to our grant writer, that's a good thing. We haven't been awarded anything yet because much of the money for Safe Streets to Schools was diverted for Hurricane Sandy relief. I did speak to her regarding strong New Jersey grant applications. She's looking into that for this year, but there's no reason why we can't interview for grant writers to see the best deal that we can get for 2014.
Mayor, we've been through this process before. If you'd like, we can invite back some of those firms or individuals that interviewed with us in the past.
Okay.
We can start that process, send out letters of invitation.
Was one of them Millennium Strategies?
Yes.
Because I think they have probably the most wide range of grants available. They seem to have a lot.
They also require a fee.
Yeah, you pay them
You'll
regardless.
have to hear their proposals.
That's the option, either do it the way where, they get a percentage, or you have to pay them.
Okay, well, we have to wait for next year because we don't have any money in the budget for paying a grant consultant this year. Any other new business? Okay. Can I have a motion to open a work session to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, the work session is open to the public, just very quickly, because after we close, we're going to open up the 8 o'clock session, and we could have our proclamations and our presentations, and then open to the public on any issue. Would anybody wish to speak regarding the work session? Okay, I have a motion to close the hearing to the public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have a motion to adjourn the work session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's now 8 o'clock, right on schedule. We call the meeting to order for the public meeting of Monday, October 7, 2013. If we could all please stand for a moment of silence, reflection, or prayer. Could Councilwoman Murphy lead us in a salute to the flag?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. This meeting is held pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law, which was enacted to ensure the right of the public to have advance notice of and to attend any meetings of public bodies at which any business affecting their interest is discussed or acted upon. The Mayor and Council of River Edge have caused notice of this meeting to be published by having the date, time, and place posted in the Borough Hall, and records and notices were sent to the Record and the Ridgewood News. Notice of this meeting was filed with the municipal clerk. The mission of this governing body is to provide essential services through the establishment and implementation of public policy, ensuring our infrastructure, providing honest, courteous, and professional services, establishing a sense of trust and accomplishment with our residents. We do this through research and prudent planning, seeking to always minimize risk while improving municipal services. We are sensitive to the needs of the taxpayer, while realizing that this governing body cannot be all things to all people due to revenue constraints that have been imposed by present economic conditions and prevailing attitudes about taxation. We are on the record, both video and audio. There are three exits in the council chambers, 2 to the front and 1 to the rear. During the open public section of the meeting, if any resident wishes to be heard They need only give us their name and address, and then they can make any comment or ask any questions, and we will try to provide an answer. Can I have a roll call, please, Judy?
Councilwoman Murphy.
Here.
Councilman Eccleston.
Present.
Councilman
Here.
Here.
Councilman Ballmer.
Here.
Councilman Cavalera.
Here.
Mayor Montesquieu.
Present. All right, the first order of business is to approve the minutes of the meeting of the mayor and council for the work session and regular meeting of September 16th, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the mayor and council work session and special meeting of September 23rd,
So moved.
2013? We have a motion.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Thank you. Tonight we have certificates of recognition for two members of our police reserve that have 30 years of service. I'm very proud to present certificates to George Sundell and Robert J. Mancuso. Hopefully they're in the audience. Is Robert Mancuso here? Come on up. How are you, Mr. Mancuso? Very well, thank you. Mr. Mancuso started in the police reserves on October the 10th, 1973. He's just retired as a position of our court officer. How many years were you there? Over 30. 30 years. Congratulations. This certificate is in recognition of your outstanding service and civic contribution as a police reserve since 1973. Your efforts have enriched us generously because the community possesses no greater treasure than the dedicated service of its people. Please accept this certificate with our gratitude and appreciation. George Sundell. How are you, George? George, you're still with us, right? I mean, you're still a member of the police reserve. Okay, there you go. Since 1973. Okay. This certificate is awarded for your outstanding civic contribution as a police reserve since 1973. Your efforts have enriched us generously because the community possesses no greater treasure than the dedicated service of its people. Please accept this with my gratitude and appreciation. All right. October 6th to 12th is Fire Prevention Week, and we give a yearly proclamation. There's usually a member of the fire department to accept the proclamation. I don't see any members of the fire department present this evening.
Maybe the liaison could take it. It's on.
Yeah, okay. Whereas cooking, heating, electrical fires represent 3 of the leading causes of home fires and are collectively responsible for nearly half of all the home fires and 1/3 of associated fire deaths. Whereas the vast majority of home cooking, heating, electrical fires can be prevented by taking simple precautions. Whereas developing a fire escape plan and practicing it at least twice a year are critical to escaping a fire safely. Whereas proper installation, testing, maintenance of smoke alarms are part of a thorough home fire escape plan. Whereas preventing leading causes of home fires by developing and practicing a thorough home fire escape plan people can greatly reduce their risk of fire. Whereas Fire Prevention Week in 2013 has a theme, Prevent Kitchen Fires, which encourages the public to develop a home fire escape plan and to have working smoke alarms. Whereas the fire service of the Borough of River Edge is dedicated to the safety of life and property from the devastating effects of fire. And whereas members of the fire service are joined by other concerned citizens in this borough, the County of Bergen and the State of New Jersey, as well as other emergency service providers and safety advocates. Whereas the week of October the 6th to the 12th is hereby proclaimed National Fire Prevention Week. This week commemorates the Great Chicago Fire of 1871, which killed more than 250 people, left 100,000 people homeless, and destroyed more than 1,400 buildings. Tom? Hello, Tom. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
And this month, October 2013, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. In the United States, breast cancer is the third most common cause of cancer deaths after lung cancer and colon cancer. Whereas National Breast Cancer Awareness Month, we renew our commitment to fighting this disease, raising awareness, and supporting those affected by breast cancer. Whereas women in the United States have a 1 in 8 lifetime chance of developing breast cancer and a 1 in 33 chance of survival, whereas the death rates from breast cancer have been declining, and this change is believed to be the result of early detection and improved treatment. Whereas a mammography, an X-ray of the breast, is recognized as the single most effective method of detecting breast changes that may be cancer long before the physical symptoms are seen or felt. Whereas we recognize innovative life-saving work of medical professionals through their efforts to prevent and detect and treat the lives of our citizens. It is therefore resolved that October 2013 in River Edge is National Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I'll give this to Judy, and we can forward it to the women's organizations. All right, thank you. Now we have appointments and personnel changes. We have a motion to approve the salary change of Eric Schultz from Laborer 1 due to an increase in longevity, effective October 22nd, 2013.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. A motion to approve the hire of Jason Etter, 711 Elm Avenue, as a light attendant for Kenneth B. George Park at a rate of $10 per trip.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any
I
abstained?
just have a question about that. Per trip means round trip, or is that each time?
To, I believe, to go down and turn the lights on, round trip.
Okay.
It's kind of, I'm sure that someday when we get the lighting there, it's all going to be automated.
Yes.
And we're not going to have to be sending somebody. It's like Pony.
Mental
telepathy. This is like this is like
$10 for the
Pony Express.
turning on and off.
Sending them down and flip a switch.
I get to turn my torch down now, the book right now.
Turn off at the end of the night, $10.
So $20.
I believe so. I'm not that up on it. Exactly.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. On the agenda is correspondence, notices that are listed and on file with the Borough Clerk. We have a monthly report from the Library Board for September 2013. We have no ordinances on for first or second reading. We have resolutions by consent, 13-354, in consecutive order, up to and including 13-383. Including, we're going to pull out for a separate vote, as is tradition, 13-380, the payment of bills, which will be read by our finance chair. Is there any member of the council which wants to pull out for separate discussion or consideration any resolutions on the consent agenda? Kathleen?
I just would like clarification on 13-363, 364, and 365.
That was the same one.
I'll defer to the Deputy Borough Clerk, who's been working on those three resolutions.
Fire department is no longer participating in potential burden as removed, so Neil Carroll had asked that we rescind that resolution. But there, I guess it's going to require that they have approved, that's correct. So we asked that we put on resolutions entering into agreement with Rochelle Clark and Maywood to the two still continue to use them for mutual aid.
Okay, Al?
I'm trying to go back to the beginning of the year. We have a separate agreement with Paramus, right? I think that was part of our
Yes.
reorganization, okay.
Is that for fire assistance?
Yeah, for fire assistance.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure about that mutually.
So we're not, I thought it was always like New Milford and Wardell, Triborough type of
That's-
thing.
Well, that's a whole nother one, that's like, that's the tribe and mutual aid.
Right.
Neil trying to all these agreements in place, we only had resolutions every year, they weren't specific agreements, so he's trying to get agreements put in place with each of the towns.
For coverage for us, or to assist?
Yeah, that's for us.
Because one of them was retroactive to January 1st, one of these
Well, right,
resolutions.
we had the central burden listed on the reorganization, but we didn't participate in that report. So they had used Maywood and Rochelle Clark since January 1st. So Neil asked, moving forward, just backdate it to January, because they did use that for mutual aid from January to now. That's all.
Do you know why this is all dissolving, all these other towns in here? Is there any reason? No. That's it.
Okay. Any other resolutions? Can I? Kathleen?
Sorry, I had another one. There was a resolution for something with the fire department to fix something, sorry, electrical
Yes.
fire?
13-382.
Yeah, it says, emergency condition, how much is that for?
It's only, I think, about $200, but we're asking for it because it does need to get done right away, and if you aggregate it with other fire department repairs, that could put them into a quote situation, so we'd like to get this repaired right away, and it's part of the emergency vehicle, so it would qualify.
You don't have to put an amount in this resolution.
No.
That's it.
All right. Can I have a motion for all of the resolutions on the resolution list except 13-380, the payment of bills?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? Thank you. Councilman Mignon, 13-380.
Whereas vouchers for the payment of goods and services rendered to the Borough of River Edge have been received, and whereas each bill has been checked by the receiving department, approved by the Chief Financial Officer and Borough Clerk, and reviewed by the 3 members of the Finance Committee. Now therefore be it resolved that bills as listed now be confirmed for payment from the appropriate funds as follows. Current account, $1,612,658.42. Capital account, $45,345.65. Recreation account, $13,567.94. Animal welfare account, $6,175. Trust other account, $5,702.56. Open space account, $89.20. Trust other developers account, $2,781.25. So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstained? Can we just correct for the record that 13-381, which is the agreement with 161 Adams Avenue for the public storm drainage system, was approved as amended by the motion that was made this evening?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, can I have a motion to open the hearing to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, did any member of the public wish to be heard on any issue affecting their interest? Okay. Can I have a motion to close the hearing to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, council comments. Would any council member like to make a comment? Starting where?
Just want to make two comments. One, I wanted to say that the mayor's wellness campaign is up and running and doing very well. We have about 45 people that are coming to our Friday Night Fit Club, and we have approximately 60 people enrolled in The Biggest Loser. Tonight was the first weigh-in. I'm not sure if no one here is participating. Okay. And at St. Peter's...
I'm participating, but I didn't go to the weigh-in.
You know what? We're going to do that...
I was at the personnel subcommittee.
Don't worry. We have a special arrangement made so you can get weighed in after the meeting.
We did it last year. I would have done it.
You won't get loose on this one. And St. Peter's Carnival, there was a good turnout. I worked a candy wheel, and I believe that it was very successful, my candy wheel time. So I hope they did well. Are they satisfied?
I think they're very pleased with the results. I think they've almost doubled the amount of proceeds compared to last year. They had a bigger turnout. I think they're really building from year to year. So
Well, I think the weather
Appreciate,
cooperated better this year.
you were there, and Vito helped out, Mr. Bartoloni, myself, so it was great. Thank you.
And that's it. I hope Denise is doing well, and hope to see her soon. I'm sure you hope to see her soon, too.
Councilman Aquafredo.
Just two town-wide events, and I'm not talking about a garage sale. The St. Peter Festival and yesterday the River Edge Day that showed to me how long I've been in this town by the amount of people that I've never seen, and they're all young, and they're all with young kids, which is the way it ought to be, because I was reflecting with the mayor 25 years ago. I was saying, gee, I'm so young. These people here, I don't know any of them. Well, now the roles are reversed, and but it was a pleasure to be part of River Edge Day, and certainly in a more relaxed atmosphere than it was for me last year, when I was literally introducing myself to people. And then St. Peter Carnival, just giving back time, stewardship of time. It's a truly enjoyable experience, and I mean, there were interaction with other council members, and just had a good time. So, thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Councilman Capola.
No comment.
Thank you. Councilman Mignon.
And just echoing what Vito said, I think both of those events showed, again, what a great sense of community this town has and how people turn out. I mean, last minute, they were still looking for 100 volunteers for the carnival. In the last 3-4 days, people stepped up and filled in all the slots. So when you have an activity, people rally and get it done. And then yesterday, they turned out despite the weather. It was very strong. Like I said, a lot of families with kids. It was a good sight to see. One other issue, the Green Team is sponsoring a bicycle safety event this coming Saturday at 2 o'clock? 2 o'clock at Memorial. Officer Sanchez will be leading a safety program for children and parents for bicycle safety. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Councilman Bartoloni.
Thank you, Mayor. And just a thank you to Mr. Mancuso and Mr. Sundell for their 40 years of service each. That's incredible. We all
40 years.
Yeah, it was 40 years.
1973.
Wow.
Yeah.
What happened? The certificate said 30.
Yes. Dum, da-dum, dum.
With 10 years between friends.
Yeah. But we often, you really don't hear too much about the police auxiliary, but they're always at every event.
Mhm.
They're always out there for River Edge Day, 4th of July, the carnival. They're out there, and they generally just don't ask for really anything. So thank you to them. for their years of service. And just Fire Prevention Week. It's almost time to change your batteries. Not quite, but if you want to start changing your batteries now, go ahead. But they do recommend with the changing of the clock, which is it keeps getting later and later every year. But let's see. Oh, the carnival was fantastic. Obviously, I got to work with Vito. We were in a booth together for 2.5 hours, and that was a lot of fun. And I look forward to it because it's just so much fun to be in there on that microphone, and they can't pull it away from my hands when it's time to leave. And that's about it.
Thank you, Councilman Papaleo.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to concur with everything that's being said, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. I'd also like to just offer my continued praise of Bobby Conway and the flawless job she does with the Rec Commission. Always flexible, always on top of things. She's an asset to our borough, and I just want to acknowledge that.
I've got one.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if anybody noticed, but the county did come in and put down the pedestrian countdown timers at Midland Avenue.
Oh, no, I didn't.
So, thanks to the county engineer's office and the road crew, we purchased the timers. They installed them within, I think, a couple of days of us getting them in, from what I understand. And they did it quickly, and it was done in a matter of hours. So, I know Councilman Capola had raised a concern that from a resident regarding that particular intersection. At least this is one step to make it a little easier for the kids to cross over there. And we said we do have money for other intersections. So at one point we probably should try to get bid spec together and get the rest of those done. Sure. We did that intersection for about $1,000.
Money well spent.
And the county did the installation. So I think it was a good shared service.
Were you done, Tom?
I was. Thank you.
Judy, could we send corrected certificates to Mr. Sundell and the other... Mancuso, and with my apologies that we got the dates wrong, and can we schedule any reserve officers who have reached 25 or 30 years when they come up for their anniversary, so that we can do that as an ongoing basis to publicly acknowledge them as the least that the mayor and council can do. I also want to remind everybody that coming up this month, at the end of the month, we have the Halloween parade. I think it's scheduled for the 26th or something like that. We have the is the Lions Club Spaghetti Dinner?
November 9th?
November. I also want to thank Bobby Conway for the good job she's doing and continues to do regarding River Edge Day. I saw her on Sunday and mentioned to her that in anticipation of the holiday tree lighting, I wanted to make sure that we had good lights this year. And
no Charlie Brown look for us, huh?
And then and then before I could even schedule a meeting with the Beautification Committee and the DPW, I received a communication from Michelle Caridi that Beautification has purchased brand new lights for the Christmas tree, 600 colored lights.
Holiday tree.
Holiday tree. Did I say that? Use that T word? Okay. Holiday tree. So that's good. So we're going to have brand new lights for the holiday tree. And I continue to participate in the Mayor's Wellness Program. The last thing I wanted to mention was that we had a really good presentation to the Planning Board that was suggested to us by Ellen Bastide on October the 3rd, which involved a complete streets presentation from Jerry Freed, who works with Rutgers University. He was the former mayor of Montclair, who brought Complete Streets in 2009 to the city of Montclair. It is now has now been adopted by 65 municipalities and 5 counties. Unfortunately, Bergen County has not yet adopted a Complete Streets program. I haven't been in contact with our freeholder, Mr. Felice, to see if I could get his support to bring Mr. Free to the freeholder board for a presentation in the hopes that Complete Streets could be adopted countywide. And if that happens, I think that the county's engineer's mindset may be a little bit more relaxed regarding county roads and how they can make the county roads throughout River Edge a little safer. So that's what I'd like to see moving forward. I want to thank everybody for coming. It's always good when members of the public show up and we can have presentations and proclamations and everybody enjoys it. And if I can have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. You want tomatoes?
Mayor.
Like them? My friend garden.